we take the snapshot of what somebody is and we attribute it to them always. So
Mm.
even when they do change, we're constantly going back to what they were and not who they are. So we find ourselves unable to see the ways in which they changed.
And that's a disservice, because we're not letting people kind of grow from or learn from or be better, when something doesn't go well. And so I think, like, as we're thinking about, like, what society does, it's probably, I don't know, that on steroids, right? Like, we live in a digital age where everything we do is on display. So we are, whether it's willing or unwillingly, uh, putting ourselves out there to be judged. And so I think, like, the world we live in kind of makes us have to be overly protective or hyper vigilant about, how we present. That causes us to probably not be as authentic as we would like to be or as we could be.
When you're thinking of like society as a whole, how would you say that politics, the political climate and accountability, how are they coming together or not coming together? I mean,
The political climate, like, we're so kind of, I guess, at opposites that, and you were speaking to this earlier, in the conversation about the idea of, why can't there be two truths at the same time? Um, or that we can't work to kind of see the similarities in what we do, and we just kind of exacerbate or magnify the differences. I think that's kind of where we are with the political climate, that there's no room for people to disagree and still remain, I guess, unified in trying to get an outcome. It's If I disagree with you, then I have to disagree with everything about you. Nothing you could do is good. I can't say anything you've done is good because you're bad, because you're on the opposite sides. Like, we are at war. And, I think it's easy, or what we really see is probably like a consistent blaming of the other person, like zero accountability on either side. It wasn't us who did this thing, it was them. And we had to respond to it, and that's why we, did this thing. And it goes, I could be talking about the left or the right. It goes for both. And I think that's the problem, is that no one's taking accountability and saying, like, well, if we're in this thing together, we took it from, like, the major scope of politics and took it down to a relationship. Like, we're both invested in this relationship being good. We're both invested in this country being good. Then why is it that we're saying it's another person's responsibility to do that and not both of ours, right? Or that if something as bad is happening, that we didn't do the thing I was saying in the beginning, is be willing to look at what role did we possibly play in this thing not going well. And I don't think any of that is happening, at least with any level of frequency that I would like to see.
yeah. Really, it's just a lot of finger pointing,
Mhm.
which begs the next question, which is how does the rising culture of a lack of accountability, how is it trickling down? I mean, economics never do, but it seems that this is.
They don't they don't trickle down. Oh, brutal. Taxes do, but not the funny.
No, no.
I think that lack of accountability is kind of being shown. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, and I mean, maybe I live in a bubble, but I feel like whenever I scroll on, social media, or like even in people's language, like, there is this, I don't know, like, overwhelming kind of desire or behavior of people engaging in not wanting to, I guess, be responsible for unpleasantness. It's almost like everyone believes that they're good and don't do anything wrong. Or, they engage in, denial of the bad thing that happened, or it wasn't that. It wasn't that bad, or I didn't do that thing, or they try to rationalize kind of their behavior. So the reason I said this thing, and I don't know if, you are on social media, but even just yesterday there was the one lady who, had a kerfuffle, right? Like, she got out there and said some things that she regretted later on, because you got some backlash, some racist things. And so, like, her response was, well, this person did this thing and I should have did this other thing, but instead I said these racist comments, and I'm not a bad person. I'm not a racist. I love everybody. Ah, you know, uh, that could be true. Also, The other thing that is true is you said this stuff. You said it. So both are true, right? You could
Both.
have done this other thing. You might not be a racist, but you said some racist shit. It's what it is. Both are true and you got to deal with it. But there's this desire, again, that lack of accountability. Like no one wants to be associated with the impact of their behavior if it's unpleasant. And you see it from the top down, I think, in society at this moment. Like the leaders used to be, I think we had a expectation, kind of like, the captain of a ship, right? Like you got to go down with the ship. Like maybe it wasn't your fault. Somebody else set the fire. You got to be the last one off of it.
Yeah.
That
You have to
I
take
don't know.
accountability.
Yeah.
Nah, these people are like we're watching them even ruin the planet while they're planning for Mars.
Savage. It's so savage. It's so savage.
Savage. And the thing is, I think that we, the people, feel like we are not responsible, and we are. We also have accountability to take here.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that because I did my part. I did my part. You see what I'm
And I'm
doing? I
just like,
did
and
my
what
part.
part is it that people think that they have done that means that they are no longer culpable? I'm like, Musk, I see these ugly ass cyber trucks all over.
Somebody bought it. Somebody bought it.
Somebody bought it,
Somebody
right?
bought it.
While I understand that sometimes you have to order the things years in advance before you get that ugly thing to sit in your damn driveway, he's been mildly and casually racist for a minute.
Mhm.
Right? And no one has really demanded anything different because we're keeping up with this idea that because he is a billionaire, it equals him being smart, as though money means someone is more intelligent or that they have more worth or that they have better thoughts and they're simply eccentric in a way that we don't understand.
Right.
So we, in a sense, have allowed bad behavior and for this petulant fool to be able to buy an entire social media platform
Mhm.
because people didn't like him, right? So I'm looking around at the ways in which we don't hold people accountable.
Mm.
I'm looking at the ways in which we don't call people to task. I'm looking at the ways in which we kind of just sort of try to get on with the every day, and are not necessarily wanting to engage in the disruption that would make us uncomfortable, that makes us feel like we're impolite people or ungrateful people while we watch our government do what it is doing.
Mhm.
So I'm
Mhm.
just like, I mean, are we not also culpable? Because I'm just like, look, yes, that protest is cute. And I'm not saying don't protest because protests are necessary,
Mm.
but I'm looking like I was reading this book, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and
Mhm.
I interpreted something to say something along the lines of activism ain't nothing but you trying to do something with no thought.
Ooh. Ooh. Yep. Yep. Yep.
That it is actually that it is within the dialogue, that it is within trying to inviting someone to view the world from your perspective and they, returning the favor and then sort of moving together with thought, with strategy, with this is one part of what we're doing, that is the thing that would make it liberation work. That is the thing that would make it freedom work, but
Mhm.
not necessarily activism, which doesn't actually require you to do think about anything. It just requires you to move with no thought.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, how many people are moving out here with no thought? So I'm just like, you're mad that libraries are closing. Do you go? I'm just saying,
Hey.
right? I'm constantly in my library, right? I'm in my digital library, and like they closed my library,
Mhm.
right? I can't keep a library open by myself.
Facts.
They closed the library. But I'm just like, there are ways in which I think that maybe we are shirking our accountability and we believe that the accountability lives only within the vote
Mhm.
and not in the everyday living of our
That part.
lives. And mm, would you say that the media is perpetuating a lack of accountability among the people or not? Or in what ways is it sort of like challenging this culture of a lack of accountability?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Uh, I see why you also gave the disclaimer. Because you said it in a much nicer way, but I read between the lines and picked up what you said. Like, yo, basically, we got to take ownership over the fact that we ain't did enough if the change didn't happen. It is what it is. Uh, but I think, yeah, I think that when we look at kind of the media I think that they choose to sensationalize some things, so it makes it seem like, something was more, uh, I guess, impactful than maybe it really or truly was, and then so then, it incites a feeling of that was enough, or we did this, or I did my part. How I was saying kind of at the beginning, but the reality is if this thing's still happening, then obviously we didn't do enough. And so like we got to look at our role in that. And it goes back to that, I guess, that concept I've been kind of, stewing on is the cost. If you want this change, what are we willing to pay for it? And I don't just mean money, are you willing to they're trying to close your library, are you willing to put, time and effort to work there? Make it a co-op or, what are you willing to do? Are you willing to kind of take your leadership in your community to task for saying, why are you allowing this? How do we get more funds for it? Are you going to campaign to do this stuff? Are you going to do the work yourself? Are you going to run for office now because you're tired of seeing what's happening? What is the cost you're willing to pay to get this thing you say you want? And I think when you say, kind of we are also culpable, what you're really saying, or this is why it was hurtful. Not that it was intended to be hurtful, but I was like, oh, she got me on some real shit. Okay, I see what you did there. It's the idea of okay, you read me just now, and it was
Shoot, I
nothing
read
necessary.
myself. They did close my library.
They closed your library. Hey, right? Read me, but it's like the thing of like, okay, so if this thing is happening, like I said, I want this, but what did I really do to get that? And that I got to take ownership over. And when we start to look at some of the stuff that's happening in communities that we care about, and we're upset about that stuff, or things are happening to folks that we care about, and we don't want that stuff to happen, and it's still happening, at some point we got to say, well, are we doing enough? What's our role in allowing this to still happen? Because we're saying, well, I voted this way, and that should be enough. Or is that the amount we were really willing to pay, and we aren't really willing to do the greater thing or pay the higher price to get that? Not to be on some, you know, radical political movement type stuff. Uh, in recent memory, I think we were all there. I'm just saying when a thing didn't go the way that some people wanted, they stormed the Capitol or a Capitol was stormed. People are upset or about how things went this time. That didn't happen. And so, you take from that what you will. But I think that like, in just the reality of things, there's going to be a cost for stuff. You want a nicer car, the maintenance is going to be higher. It's just what it is. It comes with it.
I would know. I drive a Mini Cooper.
Hey, that oil change,
Hmm.
it's not that jiffy.
It's not. I take my baby back to the
You
dealership
have to.
every time. Every time. Because I was just like, you know what? What no one's gonna do is mess up my child.
And that costs though. But see again, there's a cost, right? Like you've taken on that responsibility and now you can't be like, why y'all charging so much for oil changes or whatever? Like, hey,
I knew what it
your
was.
role was you bought that car. You could have went and got a different car. Own that.
I mean, ultimately, I think that what you're saying is that basically we're responsible for what we have and what we don't have. And we have to consider what does it cost us to have the thing that we are saying that we want?
Mhm.
Time, money, energy, late nights. Like, I wanted a PhD in sexuality. It cost me several weekends
Mm.
to get it. It was basically 7 days, sometimes a week, of just doing schoolwork, of being in school, of learning, of reading. It cost me late nights. It cost me, oh, I couldn't go to this function because I needed to be in class. It costs. And when we're celebrating an overnight success, we've also erased the cost. We've erased the ways in which they have been accountable to whatever the goal is.
Yep.
I'm like, there's a reason I am not a social media sensation, and it's because I don't put in the work.
Exactly, right? Like, I love that. I love that analogy because what you're saying is like there is to a degree, and it's empowering that you have a responsibility to yourself and you have a role in the outcomes you get. And that's not to say that like there aren't sometimes people working against you or environments that are not affirming or that are trying to prevent you from kind of reaching your full potential. That does exist. Also, I'm a person that believes that that can happen, and what is it that you're going to do about that. Like, we have power in the choice of how we're going to respond to that stuff. And I think you're saying like, hey, you want something, you're going to have to go out and make it. There's no, I guess, rule from the universe that says it shall also be easy. Sometimes it's going to be difficult. Sometimes you're going to lose sleep. Sometimes you might have to sweat. Sometimes you might bleed. Like, it's what it is. The cost is the cost. And, the cost for you or for me might be different. But somebody's got to pay something. Right. And it's like you get to decide whether or not you want to or not. Like, you're talking about getting the PhD in sexuality, and I'm over here shaking my head. No, I don't want to give up my whole weekends or anything to do more schooling. But that's on me, right? And so I'm not Dr. Stevon.
And it's not wrong
Right.
to not want to give up those things. I think that it's just the reality of what needed for me on my end, what needed to be
Hmm.
done if I wanted this thing. And it makes me wonder, like, this bargaining, as it were, with
Mm.
time, with energy, with all this and accountability and saying that we want a certain type of relationship, are people not holding themselves to account to what it costs to have the thing that they're saying that they want,
Yeah.
including making sure that they have done their due diligence in partner selection, but also in being able to say, "Hey, I don't like it," and speaking up within the context of that relationship.
Hmm. Man, I think that's one of the places where it probably shows up so prominently is that we in relationships we want the good
Mhm.
and not the bad, and we'll use air quotes around bad, but the unpleasant or the unfavorable, because I don't know that it's objectively just bad, but a thing might be like I want, I don't know, my partner to be goal driven and very successful. All right, that might mean that my partner is not available with time as much as I would like them to be. So on the one end, if I want this successful, goal-driven, goal-oriented person, I'm also got to acknowledge and hold myself accountable to say, like, I do like this time and spending it with them, but they also not gonna have every day to sit and do 6 hours of Netflix and chill on every Saturday or Sunday because they probably out there getting after it.
No.
Hey, you chose that, you wanted that, right? Right?
And did.
Yeah, that was
And
my role because I was attracted to that one part and I didn't want the other part. And I'm saying I don't know that it's kind of separated or teased out in that way that you get both. You get both.
yeah. And I know that for me, it was a conversation, between Mr. Boothang and I about, well, what kind of relationship does he want? What do I want? And because I was never gonna be the type that was gonna have food cooked for him when he got home. I was never gonna be the type the house is clean when you got. I'm looking like we can hire somebody, but I do the laundry and I provide vibes.
Hey, that's what you and that's where you choose to exist. And that person needed to know that.
It was a mutual goal because gifts are not my thing.
Mhm.
Like, gifts are nice. I like gifts. Cool. But that's not how you're going to tell me you love me.
Right.
It's not going to work. I need time.
Hmm.
And the first thing he wanted to gift me was time to me.
Oh.
He was just like, you need to be able to spend time with yourself because him and my mother be colluding behind my damn back to
Mhm.
talk shit about how much they feel like I work. Even starting this podcast, like I've been saying I wanted to do a podcast since like 2017. But with the amount of stuff I had on my plate, it would have been an impossibility, and I got to a point where I was just like, "I ain't doing this by myself." Like, who will edit these episodes?
That part. That part.
Like, who's the expert here in the room? I know that I needed the support as well as the accountability that comes with being, with having a responsibility of somebody outside of myself.
See, that's good introspection, right? Like when you said 2017, I made a face. I'm like, that's 8 years ago. Like that's a long time. But also,
People didn't know shit.
listen,
It's kinda like when you're 17, graduated high school. Okay, when I was 17,
here we go.
graduated,
Here we
I
go.
just I was grown. I just knew I was grown, and I didn't know that I didn't know anything until I got older.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, "Oh, I thought I knew something. Oh, baby, my sweet summer child." You don't even know what winter is.
You don't even know. You had no clue.
Like, "Oh, you're so sweet."
You think that's how things work. Oh,
Exactly. And it took a while for me to be able to understand that and to even have an evolved understanding of accountability at all.
I think about it in terms of, kind of like you speaking about, a little bit about your trajectory and like even your relationship is that you have you are really accountable to yourself, right? Like that means you must know you for you to be able to say, I'm going to have this conversation, honest conversation about what I am willing to do, what I have no desire to do, and put that on the table. Like, is that something you're willing to purchase and be okay with, right? Like, as I talk about that cost, are you going to sign up for that? And giving them the autonomy to say yay or nay. But without you like trying to control that, right? Like, I think you have an understanding of self and hold yourself accountable to being authentic and being you, that you're saying, I get that some people may not, be okay with that I'm not cooking every day and maybe on Wednesday when I feel like it, that I'm not really about to be out here cleaning and doing all this stuff. Hey, and that's fine. But also I know that, if I'm trying to be that, that's not going to last. It's not sustainable. Right. And so, I identify with that heavy because for me, it's similar lines. Like, you're not about to see me putting up drywall or out, cleaning the pool or doing that stuff. I have no desire to do that. What I always said was I'm gonna make enough money to pay somebody to be able to do that. And that's not like a think I'm better than that. I don't want to spend my time doing that. I want to spend my time, riding my bike that I paid a lot of money for, right? But that, brings me joy and happiness. So yeah, I have no desire to be cleaning the pool when I could be out riding my bike. I want to go ride my bike. That's fine. It's fair. And I think like, being okay with that doesn't one charge my ego and say like, "Oh, now I'm less of a man," or whatever. You're not your ego isn't in jeopardy because you're saying like, "Oh, I'm less of a woman now because I did X, Y, and Z." It's saying, "Hey, this is who I am, and if you want to be in a relationship with me, I hold myself accountable to be me. And if you okay with that, then we can rock." Right. And I think that's where the accountability piece is. But you have like a really good community for them to kind of step in and say, well, you said you want to do this. We gonna be 10 toes down in helping you get there.
Right, teach my community
Yeah.
how to be a support to me, and I don't think that some people want to take the time to teach people how to be of support. They just want the support that they want when they want it. So I'm just like, you are accountable to the way your community treats you, whether because if you didn't teach them, how did they know?
Oh, there's one of those bars again. Oh, wow, wow, wow.
We
There's one of those
almost
bar
out of
No,
time.
you got
I
my
want
brain
one more
working.
question.
You got my brain working. You got my brain working now. Like, okay, okay, look at that. Again, what is my role in getting the support I want? I'm accountable to that. Then I'm accountable to me. Then that requires me to teach people. It went back to that cost thing I said. If for the support you want from your community, what is it going to cost you to get that? And you're saying, well, you got to teach people. You got to train them up. People don't just show up knowing how to be everything that Stevon or Donna wants.
Word.
You got
I'm
to.
like, they don't know how things work in my universe. Like, this is my solar system. Do you know how things work here before I tell you? Like, there's some things that you will observe,
Hmm.
but there's some things I would have to tell you for you to have an understanding.
Right.
So,
Right.
okay, so to get to one of these last questions,
Oh,
how do we hold ourselves accountable without holding the trappings of perfection? Because you talk about it a lot, and I'm just like, somebody needs you to make it plain.
there you go.
Can you make it plain?
Well, I'll say it in the most plain way. Perfection cannot be the standard. So if you operate in that way, don't make it so that, if you're operating from a place of perfection, what you're doing then is saying that most of what you do or how you show up is probably not going to be okay because most of us aren't perfect. And so what I'm telling people to do is that you should probably operate on a spectrum, meaning how far or how much distance can you get from perfect and something still be good. And that's what I'm working to get people to kind of recognize. And so,
Can you run that back? I need to
well,
hear it again.
uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Perfection cannot be the standard.
It's not.
And then what you have to do is say, how far can I deviate from perfection and something still be good?
Ooh, I like that. Oh, oh, that's greasy. I have been operating on my perfection is whatever my best is for today that I'm able to give. because I recognize that my best changes from day to day. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm on 10, I got it all. And other times I'm like, look, I'm on 5.
And that's okay. Your way is real good too, because what it does is it allows for opportunity for imperfection to exist. And so, like, when we're thinking about our definitions of success or good, then we have to factor in some level of imperfection in that.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So, as we wrap up, what is something that you want to make sure that the people leave with? What do you desire for them to know, to think, to do? What do you got?
I guess it would be this, that, like, when you're thinking about accountability and the outcomes you get, and I think about it, you know, trained as a marriage and family therapist relationally, not just kind of romantic relationships, but all relationships. So thinking about, like, how do you check in with people, and this goes to the aspect when you were saying teach your community, how to show up and support you. How do you check in with people if your intentions are having the desired impact that you want to have? So that might be you asking folks that you care about or that you want to have a good relationship with, uh, you know, what it is that they like that you're doing, what it is that they want you to do more of that you aren't doing, and what is it that you're doing that they might want you to do less of. And being okay to kind of, I guess, assess whether or not those are things you are willing to change or can change and don't, like, really jeopardize your core perception of yourself. And if you're willing to kind of put in the work to do that because you do want to kind of show up in ways that they will appreciate.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. I hope y'all was listening. I hope y'all was listening. Oh, tell the people where they can find you, what you've got going on next so that they can engage with you and have somebody. I feel like it's like a slight pulling by the ear, like, hey, you listening?
Hey, hey,
Hey.
for sure. I use my government name, Stevon Lewis. So if you Google that, you'll find me. I tell people Steve on, not off.
Okay.
It's unique black moms. They're gonna do a thing. That's what it is. I'm on social media, most active on Instagram, but I do some stuff on LinkedIn. Uh, I have a journal that I wrote because I work with people that struggle with imposter syndrome. It's called Silencing Your Inner Bully. It can be found on my website, stevonlewis.com. And currently gonna be releasing a master class to kind of teach people about imposter syndrome and give them tools and tips on how to kind of better manage that stuff. And like I said, I've been stewing on this idea about this book I want to write. That is a more traditional book as opposed to like my journal/workbook, about this kind of the cost of good. And so, hopefully I can get a proposal done and get that out shortly, and see what we can get some people to buy and pay for me to write that thing.
I'm sure there's somebody out there who could.
Yeah.
We may need to talk offline about that one.
Hey, I'm with it. I'm with it.
Thank you so much for taking the time, for being here, for dropping so much wisdom, and for doing it with such style. I mean, you gotta wear about you, and I just be like, yeah, this the one. And the two.
And and the two.
The one and the two. So thank you. I'll be giving you my unfiltered advice shortly. You know what time it is. It's time for us to have some of that unfiltered advice. Now, this conversation with Stevon was everything. So make sure that you go follow. The thing that I was left with is a question, really. And my question is, can we afford it? Can we afford for us to continue to shirk our responsibility? Can we afford for us to continue to not take accountability? Can we afford for us to be so self centered everywhere we go? And the way I described it over yonder, so don't go using your own definition, use the one I gave you. Can we afford for us to continue to do that and think that we're gonna get what we say we want as a people, what we say that we are needing, what we're saying that we're wanting to see? Another question: what will you do to get the thing that you really say you want? Right now, and this is a running joke between me and my mama, we be talking about we gonna win the lottery. Neither of us play. So I'm asking, what are you going to do to win the lottery today? Are you going to buy a ticket? I'm asking that because accountability is action on our part. And we do a really great job of seeking out and blaming others for their action or inaction as though we are not part of the equation. I feel like it's like searching for X. like 36x, I don't know, divided by 7. What does x equal? The point is that x equals some type of work that needs to happen in order for us to find out. And where it comes to the way that we are moving away from accountability, it makes me worry because we will always find someone else who is not us to blame. We will always find someone else who is not us to take that second look at. And I'm asking for us to take the time to also look at ourselves, because the things that we want are on the other side of the work we probably are unwilling to do, and the accountability that we have failed to take. So I don't know about you, but for me, this conversation definitely got me thinking. I am going to be sitting in some tough questions, and hoping to find some answers that will lead me closer to the thing that I want, or rather closer to the things I say I want, and what it's going to cost me to actually get it. I hope that it gives you the same thing too. All right, y'all. I will see you next time on Desire Dialogues with me, Dr. Donna. Bye.